another motherfucking video. So here we got J-Dawg here from fucking Hell's Headbangers. Welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Rhed, spelled R-H-E-D. So why do you spell it like that? Because remember when my retarded ass was looking at the fucking video, I was like, is it Red? And I was corrected, but why is it spelled like that? Is that is it used a word like I'm just a complete idiot, don't know, but everybody else in the world knows?
No, it's all strategic because it's the band, and when somebody looks it up, when they type in R-H-E-D, that's the only thing that comes up.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's all because if I just put Rhed and Mordant, all kinds of random shit will come up. If you type in Mordant Rhed with the H, it's
that's a little warning lesson for anybody starting a new band. It blows my mind when you get a fucking band that comes out like, hey, guess what we're going to be called? We're going to be called Disgorge. I was like, oh, number 6? Why don't you just start a band called fucking Possessed? It's like, did you even do 5 seconds of research? Especially with something called Metal Archives, there's no reason to have the same goddamn name as somebody else.
Yeah, in this day and age, there is no excuse. And also talking about these shitty ass bands, I know you've mentioned this before. I talked about it too. This fucking band called Blood Incantation. I've never even listened to them because I don't want to, because the fucking name, like, man, you know what? I think I'm gonna start a band called Possessed Bathory.
Yeah.
It blows my fucking mind because for me, if that tells me they don't know shit.
Yeah, I didn't take it like that. I just thought the name was confusing. I'm like, oh yeah, I get you saying, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of just boring hipster death metal. I mean, I'll give them this credit. It's way better, and it's in the same wheelhouse of metal than some of these fucking bozos that come over and comment that are all that fucking what I call twink core fucking crowd of stuff like Whitechapel, Asking Alexandria. I didn't even know any of this bullshit was until 2 years ago. I knew of it, but I couldn't name you any names. I just know because they come in and ask. And then they have the audacity. Some of the shit they say is out of this goddamn world. At least Blood Incantation is at least a metal fucking band. I'll give them that. I'm just like, I just don't get what the hype's about. That's all.
Yeah. Well, there's been many people told me, no, you need to check them out. They're a good band, but it's just by principle, it's fucking stupid. I would never start a band with the name Incantation when there's a classic legendary band with that in there. And
I know, I get you. Well, it's funny because you said exactly what I said, and I think a lot of people kind of fall in this category, but I've even said these exact words on my channel. Like, there's certain shit I look at it, or you hear something like you heard the name, it's like, dude, I don't even want to like it.
Yeah.
Like I just don't even want to like it. I was like, just the way it looks, and so I was like, oh God. I was like, I'm getting, you know what I mean? So it sounds like that's the category they fell in for you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, ironically, I watched the video you posted today. Some fucker asking you about interviewing some shit Alexandria. You mentioned I am with you on that boat. When I see a band with a name of a sentence,
yes,
as I lay sodomized or some shit.
Yeah. It's virtually a 99.9% chance. I was like, I have a vague idea what it's going to sound like, and I know I don't fucking like it.
Yeah.
Dude, actually, the video hasn't gone up yet. It's scheduled for, I think, Saturday. Because I usually always have the next 3 days always posted, just in case of an emergency, something pops up. So, like, for example, say I think I'm up to, we're recording this on a Wednesday. I think I'm up to Saturday uploaded, right? At 6 a.m. And then tomorrow I'll do Sundays. I always do just one a day, but I'm always 3 ahead, just in case shit hits the fan, no matter what, I have a video goes up, right? But so I think it's Saturday's video goes up, but it's going up soon. Dude, I was telling the story on this. We were at, Lindsay and I were at this fucking thing we're sitting down at, and sat there for a while, had to be there for a while, and they wanted to put on music. I'm like, oh God, and the course was like, yeah, I like metal, put it on. I'm like, fuck, this ought to be good for a goddamn laugh. Because it was a chick, and I was like, I already know where this is going. I was like, whatever, maybe she'll have some, she's saying metal. I'm thinking, okay, there's gonna be at least, some Megadeth, Metallica, Iron Maiden. All right, cool, whatever. At least that'll be sprinkling. Hey, maybe even fucking Pantera will be in there. Not my thing, but whatever, commercial metal band. I fucking wish, dude. It was nothing but deathcore, new core, fucking garbage. I didn't know the name of one goddamn band, and it was literally giving me a headache. And I almost felt like my dad back when they were kids. This shit all sounds the same, and it does. It's all just the chugga-lugga fucking riffs where they got the fucking yelling kind of vocals and then the clean vocals. It's like the same exact formula of just complete canoe ass fucking garbage. There's no guitar solo, like good guitar solos, standout riffs. It's not aggressive. It just sounds fucking just Dude, it reminds me of like it's the kind of what would be considered metal of all the fucking people in the you ever see that movie Demolition Man with Sylvester
Yes.
Stallone? All the
Yes.
fucking pussies in the future. It's
Yeah.
like what they would listen to and consider aggressive music. I'm like, this shit is worse than I even thought it was gonna be. I had to sit through an hour of that shit, one straight hour. It was pure torture.
You see, that with that being said, that kind of shit makes me sick because you're right, it's heavy, deep vocals, and it starts whining like somebody's balls are cut off. And
Correct, yeah.
I don't know if it would make me more aggravated listening to that fucking bullshit for an hour or some rap shit. I don't know.
To be honest, I would rather listen to rap. And the reason being is because at least they know it's rap and they're in their own lane.
That's
the
true.
deathcore shit, they literally say, she's like, yo, no, I like metal. Because she's like, well, first she said, got any requests? And I'm just like, all right, we'll just put on popular shit. Lindsay looks over like, come on, just don't say anything. I was like, I'll keep it PG. I'm like, so you can't go wrong with Cannibal Corpse or Deicide. And of course, she just looked at me, had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. And she's like, well, I got my playlist, on my Spotify or whatever. I'm like, whatever. All right, put it on. So I'm thinking, that. But because she says, yeah, in the metal. And I'm thinking, that's why it's more annoying than if she would have put out Tupac or something, because that's what they equate it to. They equate it to the same shit we're listening to.
Right.
They equate it to Bathory, even though they don't even know what Bathory is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why usually anybody ever asks me, hey, what kind of music you listen to? I just say all kinds of stuff because I don't even feel like explaining. Yeah, man, I like fucking anal cunt. You ever heard of that? It's just no point. And actually, this kind of brings up something else I was thinking about the other day. It kind of actually goes back to the shirts you're getting made, make metal offensive again, which I think is a good fucking thing because it should be. And I came across, it was last year or sometime, it was a video about black metal and how to find safe black metal bands.
Oh, God.
They had a whole video explaining what to look for to see if it's, scary or NSBM to see what is safe. I'm like, motherfucker, who gives a shit? If it's good, it's good. I'm not going to sit there, is this going to be offensive to somebody? I better not fucking listen to it.
Yeah. Not to mention what I got in this, I liked it because it was extreme and offensive.
Yeah.
That was kind of like part of the point.
Yeah, absolutely. It was all about, I wanted stuff that, it's funny too, thinking about when I first started getting into heavy shit and thrash starting off. I remember I told this story in another fucking video. When I first bought my first Overkill tape, I went to Sam Goody in the mall and I was looking at it. I was trying to find something fucking offensive, and some older guy, he was into metal. Oh, cool, man. That's a good band. And my dumb ass goes, hey, does this have any cussing in it? Is it fucking, he's just like, probably thought I was a fucking dumbass, but that's what I wanted, just something to piss people off, aggressive, angry. If you're buying I don't know, to me, metal, you're listening to this shit for some kind of social message or happiness, but that's shit
cool. The way you described it, the safe, that's literally like looking for a horror movie that's like not scary.
Yeah, actually, that's a good example. Exactly.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, isn't that defeat the purpose? Go to a haunted house that you're not going to be scared at. I'm like, well, those are the ones that suck. You want to be ones that fucking like almost made you shit your pants.
Yeah. Yep. It's just blows my mind. In that video I saw, I shared it to some of my friends and everybody's fucking laughing. I said, actually, just stop watching it. Don't even give those cocksuckers any views on that because it's so fucking stupid. I mean, the audacity, hey, you know what? I like this new band, but I got to make sure to see if they're, okay for me to listen to or not.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and you probably hate it even more than I am, because I'm pretty sure you're a little older than I am. When you said you bought it, the Overkill team, which album did you buy? Which one was it? Do you remember?
Shit, I can't remember. Well, I'm 49, so yeah, I'm old.
Oh, so was it like? So was the first was it Taking Over or Feel the Fire? Or?
It was not Taking Over, but see, I can't lose my mind. The one with they're in the sewer with the skull in the sewer.
Is it the third record?
Yeah, I think so. I feel stupid not even be able to remember.
Oh, dude, I do that all the time on my channel.
Yeah. But yeah,
so,
it's the one that I think came out in 1987 or 88.
Okay.
It's got Hello from the Gutter on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I should know that. But,
so if you're 49, you're 11 years older than me.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've definitely seen even more of the wimpification than I have of how it is.
It's it's just sickening how people get offended by everything when it's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah. Well, when did you first hear death metal then? What was your first introduction to what was the first death metal release you heard?
Well, for me, it was a progression. We're going back to like 88, 89. Yeah. I first heard Sepultura, which was kind of a gateway because before I was all into hardcore and thrash metal like everybody else. But then I got into that, found Death and Malevolent Creation. And then I found out the whole tape trading shit and started buying demos like that and whatnot. So it was just a gradual progression, but never looked back since then, man. It's
well, then looking at your image and just, obviously doing the band Mordant Rhed and shit like that, you just come across me way more as a black metal guy. Is that accurate, or is that just?
I like it all across the board because it's funny. I know a lot of people in different scenes and whatever, and some guys, they just know me as a hardcore guy.
Okay.
A friend of mine, which I like it all. I like fucking negative. I like Minor Threat and Black Flag just as much as I like.
Yeah.
Whoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as making music, I want to make black metal music. That's my deal. But I like hardcore.
So what's the reason you wanted to make black metal music? What made you decide on black metal as far as making music?
Because it's the most hateful kind of music you can make, and it's that's what it is. And plus, everybody that plays in the band, everybody's in their 40s. There's no young people in this band, so everybody has the same mindset as me.
Yeah.
Want to do. Actually, some of these fuckers, they want to do stuff even way more offensive. I'm like, nah, I don't want to go too far. But
that's a problem too. Because don't get me wrong, I'm not even gonna lie. I definitely PG my fucking channel. I make sure certain words don't slip. I'm sure you can use your imagination just because I don't want my shit taken down.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the way it has to be because of how pussified things are. So, you almost can't go to where you want to go as offensive as humanly possible because you're not gonna be able to sell your shit. You're not gonna be able to be on a platform.
Yeah, you'll get canceled.
Correct. Exactly.
You see, the way that I look at this stuff, it has. I said NSBN, but it's not just that. Just anything. You know how like old gore, like Waco Jesus and shit about rape and stuff like that. I like that shit. Does that mean I support raping people and stuff? No, I think it's fucking funny because it's fictitious, like watching a horror movie. But I don't.
That's why it's hilarious too, because for example, I guarantee you that there's fans of, let's say, Waco Jesus, which I like, but then they'd be appalled by something like Vaginal Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes no sense, dude. I was like, I didn't agree with either one. I just took it as a comedic thing. Just like, for example, there's stuff like with Cannibal Corpse, some of their lyrics too. I thought it was funny. I was like, but does that mean that I'm going to like, for example, just Entrails Ripped from a Virgin's Cunt. I think it's just such a great fucking title and just kind of funny in a sense how brutal it is. But it's just common sense. Obviously, you're not going out or would have a desire to do that.
Yeah,
and it's just because it is so fucking. Sometimes it's interesting because it is so appalling that that's what it is. Exactly. And that was the same thing Waco Jesus. And I've met all the guys, but they're just regular guys.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just blows my mind that this shit needs to be explained. I get it to the outsiders that don't get this. It's funny because, again, I bring them up and they get ripped on all the time. The band Dying Fetus. One of the reasons they wrote the song Kill Your Mother, Rape Your Dog, it's about all fucking just pissing in the mainstream. And but the title was specifically to get like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because it's like, kill your mother, rape your dog. Who fucks it? It's like, it's specifically like a message to the people that if you're into underground music, you understand what I'm talking about. And all you outside fucking goddamn Dave Matthews bands listening motherfuckers don't get. And that's exactly what the song's about. And it's funny because they're a band that blew up and it's like, so theoretically in the scene, popular, but yet all the old metal scene has turned its back on that message.
Yeah.
So it makes no fucking sense to me. Again, I get it. When these Dave Matthews bands, guys, fucking Spice Girls listening motherfuckers don't understand it. I get that. But when you're in the scene, how do you not? And the thing is, like, well, maybe they're young. They have that. Dude, when I got into this at a very early age, it didn't need to be explained to me. I got it immediately. It was just, I think either you're into it or you're not, and you understand it and you don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. Kind of go back to what you were talking about, Vaginal Jesus, like that shit. When I first heard that, I thought it was fucking hilarious.
That's what I thought. It's just fucking funny.
Yeah, it's to me, if anybody takes that serious, are a fucking moron. I mean,
That's what I
it's
think.
obvious.
Exactly. I know.
It's obvious. It's over the top. They do the Judas Priest cover on there. You know, it's just.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
I mean, actually, speaking of that, one of the last times I saw Anal Cunt, they played with I Hate God, and we're sitting there watching, and they did a whole set of Vaginal Jesus songs.
Oh, did they? Okay.
In the pit was all kinds of people, were black guys, whatever. Nobody gave a shit. Everybody's laughing and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, nothing like that.
No, yeah, I think because again, and then obviously that's the whole standard of today. Though, if it was the other way around, if an all black band did it, which I'd be all for it, I think it'd be funny about white people. It'd be okay though. It'd be okay, but I still fucking find it funny personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is a double standard, but that, you know, whatever, man. It's people are gonna cry about shit and fucking garbage. My fucking phone.
Oh, I thought you made me record. I thought what do you record?
Motherfucker, don't you fucking call, you motherfucking pussy! You got a goddamn telemarketer.
Similar to how I fucking answer.
Man, I fucking hate people, man.
Yep.
Anyway, we can get off on that. I want to also talk about, I know you did that recent interview with that Jamie Josta.
Yeah.
Which I found pretty interesting. It was an interesting interview because, you know, like me, I listen to a lot of hardcore stuff. So I listened to Hatebreed way back when they first started. And he was always known as a guy that was into metal and new death metal and stuff. So I was curious to see how the interview went. And he seemed to be pretty open. Like, I know you mentioned having Satanic Warmaster play at that gig next year, which would be cool.
Yeah.
But it's interesting thinking about Hatebreed and stuff like that, because back when they first came out, they had the EP called Under the Knife, and it was pretty fucking heavy. There was even a half-ass blast beat on there and shit.
Okay.
Then it got into more of the...
Yeah, I'll be honest, Hatebreed, I never even officially listened to, just because it was a 90s band that when I was already listening to death metal and stuff, it was kids in high school liked. So I just associated, well, if you like it, I don't.
Yeah.
So I never actually officially heard it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, once they start getting popular, it's kind of a thing where, not exactly, but kind of like Pantera, the fucking people that like it make me sick.
Yeah.
Into it. But yeah, actually, the first time I saw Hatebreed years ago, they played with Entombed.
Oh, okay.
This was on their first full length when they were on Victory Records, and it was a good ass show, man. And
so, what year would that have been?
That was 96, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Because their first album came out around that time.
Okay.
Try to gauge the time of that. Yeah, it was good. I mean, but really, all these bands like that totally ripped off Suffocation, if you had forgotten that.
Yeah.
That part. Because at the time when that came out, that was incredible. And actually, I saw Suffocation on tour for that album, and they played with. Yeah, they played with Autopsy and Dismember.
Okay.
Suffocation opened. Everybody's just standing there. But then once they stop and go, start that part, the fucking pit went crazy. And then after that, you start seeing more and more of these bands doing that. And it was cool. But when you get to be where it's a whole album of that, it gets boring.
Yeah.
Now, you
definitely notice that Suffocation draws some annoying ass fucking fans too, right?
Yeah. I love Suffocation, but they've definitely created a whole genre of a lot of shit that I don't like. These bands, it's like brutal. It sounds like some pig squeal vocals or some shit.
I know.
I don't know. I saw some video the other day. I don't even know who it was, but the guys were like a bunch of fucking 20-year-old skinny fucking idiots doing this, and they were all together, and they were doing like some death metal, but it was like a straight fucking rap video, and I was just like, man, I don't even want to entertain this shit.
Yeah, it's like trying to reinvent the wheel because everything's been done. So they're just trying to bring something new into it, which I guess I understand it from that take, that it's like, we don't want to do the same thing. But there's a certain point, it's like, well, dude, bringing Superman in on your fucking record stupid too. Granted, nobody's else done that yet either. You know what I mean? There's certain things it's just dumb. It's like, just because it's new doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else that all that kind of shit, especially going back to like Hatebreed, these hardcore bands, is this shit at shows. I like to call it karate school, where everybody's doing this.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, that shit's annoying as fuck. I know. Yeah. But didn't that stem from the hardcore scene?
Yeah, it did. It did. Okay. I mean, at first it was cool, but then you start seeing where it's almost like a breakdance show. Everybody's taking turns doing their moves, and then they start doing this shit, what they call crowd kill, and attacking the people to stand on the sides. And that's, man, fucking makes me sick. Like, actually,
did you see the push-ups in the pit yet in person? Have you ever seen it?
No. You know what? When it comes to that shit, I've totally stopped going to hardcore shows.
Well, because I saw it at that fucking Frozen Soul. Frozen Soul opened for Napalm Death last year. Everyone was telling me on my channel. I was like, I've never seen some motherfucker doing push-ups in the pit. Sure enough, and it was Paul from the Embalmer. He nudges me. He's like, there you go, man. Finally see the scene. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Yeah, I was like, that's just dumb. You know?
You see, that's, I'm all about that kind of, masculinity kind of shit, but that right there is fucking just retarded. I mean, it's just totally fucking retarded. When I go to show, I want to see a good circle pit. If you get your head split open with the elbow, okay, help somebody up, whatever. But people are doing this karate school swinging around, man. I have no patience for that bullshit. So that's why I like to stick. I'm sorry, go on.
You still go to shows then, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Now, you going to shows, does anyone know who you are? Do they know Mordant Rhed? Does anyone know, or just close friends?
Just my friends. Yeah.
So put it this way, is there anyone you see at shows that you see regularly that, let's not say you're friends with, but they know you by first name and you know them by first name, they have no idea it's you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Okay, that's kind of cool, yeah.
Anonymity.
So you have that mystique going on, like, some bands, like kind of Ghoul had when they were starting off.
Ghost,
like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would, do it without the mask on, but then again, who am I? Nobody wants to see that shit. People like to see fucking crazy stuff, so that's why the whole idea.
You got something. I mean, if you stick with the channel, I definitely think it's going to grow, because you have something original as well going. You're bringing something new to the table, and everyone that checks your channel out, they seem to like it because, it's a breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? So I think, it's definitely going to work out for sure. Things just take time. Because how long have you been doing the channel now?
It'll be a year next month.
Yeah, so you're even less than me. And I consider myself stupid new to the game. I'm 18 months in. It'll be 2 years in December. So, and I consider it new as fuck.
What's funny about your channel, I remember when it first started, the guy that plays bass in Mordant Rhed, he's the one that told me, hey man, that fucker from Hell's Headbangers has a funny ass fucking channel. So I started watching it. I was like, oh, this is pretty fucking good, man. Just, no filter, just straightforward, no bullshit, man.
Yeah.
No, I immediately, it's funny. I was watching that the other day and I had some fucking hooker at the house and she walked by and she said, she said, why is that man cussing so much? Because I was watching your video in the morning.
That's what people say too. I think somebody said that, Mom, here's the background. Who's that fucking buffoon you're listening to?
Well, I mean, that's what I like. I mean, it's literally, there's a lot of other channels I watch too, which are very good, very knowledgeable, really cool guys. I've met some, well, not in person, but come in contact with people really cool, but it's always just very reserved. And I don't know, I like entertainment. And also I feel like I, in a way, I mean, a lot of this is just talking shit on here, but I act like this in real life too. All my friends go to show, everybody's loud and obnoxious and shit. And I don't know, that's the way it.
No, it's funny thing too, is because, like, for example, yes, it's like the way I talk and shit, it's for the channel, but at the same time, this is how I talk in real life too. It's just somebody, if they met me, like, oh, he wasn't like that. Like, well, you met me for 5 minutes in your entire life, dude. I was like, if you meet me, I'm going to be more reserved. I'm not just going to bust out fucking with aggression on you. But if you get me talking, you get a conversation, I'm a very passionate person about the things that I like. So I'll get going and I'll talk. And people like that know me know that I will. But I was like, dude, if you just start talking about politics or dumb shit or the weather, I'm like, I'm just quiet and reserved. I was like, because I just don't care. And I can't even force myself to care. That's why I tell everybody when it comes to these mainstream topics or anything, I'm just like, dude, I don't like try to avoid it. It's just the most boring thing to me that I'm not going to be talkative at all. And there's people like, whether it be some in-laws or even some people in my family that aren't a direct family, that might be a cousin or something, that I know they're like, oh, Justin, he's fucking quiet. And it's like, it's funny because they'll be like, oh, my wife's like, all right, what the fuck? You can't get him to shut the fuck up. It's like, no, I'm quiet because you have nothing of interest to me. So to them, if they're to see my channel, like, man, this guy's just, it's a complete facade, complete act. I'm like, no, you just don't know the real me, and you haven't talked to me about anything I'm passionate about, because that is how I talk, just like I do on the channel. But yes, I don't just walk through the goddamn grocery store, give me my goddamn fucking bananas and eggs, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't walk around like that in a normal scenario. So,
with that being said, of what you just said, again, go back to when I first started watching your channel. The deal is, it's obvious it's not an act. You can tell, because people can tell bullshit. If some person got on there and started trying to yell and do this kind of shit, if it's not sincere, you can see the bullshit.
So funny you say that, dude. I have an example, and I can't say names, and I won't. But somebody, I don't even want to say too much; it'll give it away. That's what it was. It was all complete act, and it was like I was like, how long is this gonna last? I was like, it's fucking phony baloney. I would talk to it about with my wife all the time. I was like, I can't even stomach it. I was like, it's so fake that it's not even. It's so fake that I want to throw up looking watching it.
Yeah.
But I was like, how long is it? Just like you said, how long is it going to take till somebody notices this?
I don't know. I mean, usually people can see through the bullshit, but then again, I don't have such a
motherfuckers.
I know I don't have a big high opinion of society. That's for damn sure.
Mine seems to get a little less every fucking day, but every now and then, though, I get a smidge of hope, because I'll meet an individual, sometimes not in the metal world of someone that I'm like, oh, finally, someone I actually like, someone that actually fucking that I can respect. They're few and far in between. It seems like it's 1 out of 100.
Yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't have to be scene people, metal, hardcore, because like if I meet somebody, they have a good fucking firm handshake, they look me in the eye, and I can tell they have some integrity. Like, all right, and I can tell, for the most part, when you first meet somebody, but usually.
It's funny you say. I can tell within 3 minutes of talking to somebody if I jive with them or not.
Oh yeah,
I literally can. I've had this conversation with my wife many times. Within 3 minutes. I mean, don't want to say people we met or shit like that, dealing with certain things. She's like, what do you think about them? I'm like, he's fine. I'll say hello. I was like, I would never invite him over. I would never have my house, things like that. I was like, it's just hi, how you doing, buddy? I was like, it's like, well, I thought he was nice. It's like, I didn't say he wasn't nice. I didn't say he was a child molester. I'm just saying he brings nothing to my table. See, because what I like individuals. Yeah. I like people that think for themselves and have kind of like original thoughts. I always say it to everybody. It's like, you don't have to like the same kind of music to me and shit like that. It's just, but when it's the same guy, the average person, he's got his boring 9-to-5 job. He watches the fucking Sunday football, goes to church on Sundays, and just a mundane everyday life. Just talking about the weather and what's going on in the world. I'm like, dude, you bring nothing to the table for me. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That doesn't mean I'm better than you. It's just you bring no value of a conversation to me.
Yeah, absolutely. If I go to a party or something and it's a bunch of fucking dumbasses, I don't even want to entertain the conversation of, oh man, weather is hot. Oh, or talking about sports or some shit. I just don't even waste my time. I don't even.
That's why a lot of events I go to, I'm just like, oh god, I don't want to go, because there's nobody for me there to talk to.
Yeah,
a lot of events. But then that's why I always kind of like, oh, who's going to be there? I always want to know. I'm like, all right, well, great. I'm going to be sitting in a fucking corner with my dick in my hand for 4 hours. A lot of times that's what it is, and that's why I say there's a lot of people that if they have seen my channel, or if they do see it, that know who I am, they probably think it's fake as fuck. I was like, no, you just don't know me. You just don't know me. You know my first name.
Yeah.
But you don't actually know me.
Yeah, but still, it on your channel, it's you can tell. You can tell if it's bullshit, because some people get in front of the camera and they don't feel comfortable. They don't look comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I fucking watch your channel mostly every morning, sitting there eating fucking oatmeal and watching, because it's just comical, It's you talk about the shit that I'm talking about. I like to talk about. Also jumping around too, talking about fucking douchebags and shit. I left a comment before about going to the gym and seeing fucking scumbags and shit.
Oh god, dude, you want to see annoying motherfuckers? Just go to the gym.
I know. Now that is a place there. I purposely wear these big earphones, listening to music, so
It just says don't talk.
I walk around looking pissed off so nobody would talk to me, because every time some fucking cocksucker wants to brag about something or they want to start working in, I'm like, I don't want to work with you. But the things that make me sick as fuckers with these cameras and shooting videos. And,
all the tripods and
God
shit.
damn. But I got a good story about this. This happened last year. I saw some fucker in there. He had sunglasses on, tripod. He was like, I guess he was going live. He kept trying to shoot videos of him doing a bench press. And he had like 345s on. And I knew the fucker wouldn't be able to lift it. He picked it up and he was by himself, just had the camera set up. And it was on his neck and he was choked, like trying to get it off. And I walked by there and I looked him right in the eye and he was looking at me, panicking. I just kept walking. I didn't even help the motherfucker.
Just left him to die.
I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a nice guy. So
didn't claim
I felt like just pushing down on him.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's so fucking stupid. At what point, for example, I would never in a million years put any weight on a bar that I've never done before. And I damn sure wouldn't put on a bar of a weight I'd never done before and try to record it. Like, it's just common sense.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? Okay, what are you going to do if you don't get it? Like, it's just that. Yeah, I just don't get it. But yeah, I believe it 100% because I see kids all the time never recording themselves doing that, where it's like they're putting shit on them. I'm like, dude, I can tell by looking at you, like, there's no way you can lift that. There's just no way. So.
Yeah, people picking up weight that's too heavy. They're just dropping it over, whether it's doing, deadlifts or whatever the fuck. Just keep dropping. Like, motherfucker, I'm going to come over and slap the shit out of you. I mean, I understand, you're max out, drop it sometimes. But somebody's just sitting there and just dropping it every motherfucking time.
Every rep. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the kids it's mostly the kids now that are the most annoying there.
Yeah. I see some dumbass shit. I saw one day some fat ass slob had a 45 dumbbells and he was doing curls, but all it was momentum.
Yeah, throwing them up. Yeah.
I'm like, man, hey, I guess at least he's trying, but he's schooled, Fucking crap.
Do you wear metal shirts in there, or like you stick out like a sore thumb, or do you just wear like a plain black shirt, or like?
I just wear whatever. I mean, okay. I literally go in there to make sure that I don't stand out. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want anybody. Oh, hey, man. No.
Well, how long have you been going to the same exact gym?
This gym, not about a year.
Okay, so you don't. But because the longer you go, you'll see people that you see all the time. It's only a matter of time.
Changed the other one.
That's why you changed.
Yeah, because I people that want to talk. Yeah, I've been going to the gym for a long time. Actually, I first started lifting weights and working out when I was 12. So that was like 1986 or something.
Oh, shit.
So, I mean, I'm not in, I know you're more into bodybuilding. I like to put on some size, but not too much, just enough to stay, because I like to do other things.
Well, you're damn near 50 years old too, so it's probably not ideal.
It's all right. I still feel pretty good. I can still slap around a fucking 20-year-old. No, man, but I moved to another gym because it's just dumbasses want to talk. There's other things of people know of me of other endeavors, and they'll see me and they'll recognize me. I'm like, not this, but other stuff I do, and I don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about anything. I'm in the gym, fucking just straightforward, do my shit and get the fuck out.
Well, whatever you do for work, do you have to deal with any coworkers on a daily basis?
Nope.
Oh, you don't? Okay, I was going to say, you don't come across as you would deal with that very well.
No, I hate people. Luckily, I get to work from home most of the time.
Okay. So you don't have,
most of the time.
Okay. But you've been in an environment where you've had to work with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. I was in the military before as well. So I've, I mean, not that I just can't deal with people. I can put on that smiling face and be a nice guy, but.
Maybe you're just annoyed.
Yeah, I just choose not to. But fucking crap. I guess moving on, talk about Hell's Headbangers a little bit, the label. It's funny how when I first discovered your label, what year did it start? I forget.
2001.
Okay, so I was buying shit around that time, and I remember this was back then. I kept seeing Nunslaughter 7 inches and stuff And at the time, I was thinking, this must be the fucking guy from Nunslaughter's label, man.
Everyone thought that. They always thought it was Jim and Dot. Everything that was affiliated. So Jim and Dot, we've got blamed for so much shit, good and bad. It's like, dude, it's not even us. Like the rumors and stories are so fucking hilarious. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. That's what I thought too back then. I finally figured out. But yeah, I mean, back over here, I got a lot of shit, a lot of good stuff. Actually, one band that I used to really like, it was called Disfigured Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it was some really cool, catchy death metal. It
was funny because, so a little backstory about that is the demo, or at least the 5 first songs that they did, I think they consider it demos. It's on a CDR they sent it. And I liked it quite a bit. It was just like, it was the 4 or 5 songs, all of which made the album. When the album came out, I liked it quite a bit, but I thought the best songs were those. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, the other songs are good. They're not quite as good as the demo songs. But I was like, whatever. And then the second album, which we didn't do. I think maybe Deathgasm did it. I could be wrong. We kind of turned it down because they were already going more technical and just like, shit. I was like, the Disfigured Dead. I was like, I liked it because it was more of like, scream, bloody gore and severed survival type style. I was like, is that not? Then they were going more for like a later Cannibal Corpse, like suffocation type stuff. I was like, you guys are already changing. I was like, you're already losing. Like you already had that little bit of niche because what was that release? That was fucking 2000 shit. I don't remember. Well over 12 years ago. Yeah. It wasn't as many bands doing that. It wasn't as common. So it was refreshing to hear. So because when I say scream, bloody gore, severed file now, people are like, oh, well, fucking a lot of bands sound like this. Like, yeah. Now you're talking about 2023 at the time. There wasn't very many bands doing it.
Yeah, because when I bought that album, I literally did the old school way, and I saw the cover. It had that cheap ass looking painting on there on the cover, but I thought it was cool, and I bought it just because of the cover. I was like, man, that's just fucking good. And at the time, that's when Razorback Records was putting out a shitload of stuff too, and I was buying. Actually, I think I might have bought it from them. Actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we definitely trade with Billy all the time back then, so it would make sense. But it's funny you bring that release up because like. That's like one if somebody brings up Hell's Headbangers, they never bring shit like that up. They usually some of the more, either the black metal releases or Beastal Black releases or Nunslaughter or Midnight, things like that, or Acid Witch. I've never had anyone bring that one up. So
I like it, man. It's just good, catchy death metal. I like the Manticore. Is that what it was?
Manticore?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a Cleveland band. I remember when their demo came out. That's my favorite thing by them. Ritual Cleansing of the Horror demo. But then we did what all did we do? We did Bowels of Repugnance, which is the debut album.
Yes.
And we did For Rats and Plagues. That was the second album. After Rats and Plague, that was Dave. Dave sang for all that stuff. He sang a Ritual Cleansing of the Horror. He sang into guitar. Bowels and For Rats and Plague, and then Dave left the band. Ever since Dave left, it was still good, but to me it was just different because Dave's a character. Then when he probably hates people more than you and I put together. And he's definitely a unique individual, but he definitely fits his whole satanic devil worshiping theme. But when he left, that's when he started Sperm of Antichrist. And then they just did one demo, and then Sperm of Antichrist became Void Meditation Cults. And then he continued to do that. But Manticore, I didn't like I said, it was all good, but it had a different feel to me when Dave wasn't in the band no more. But that's a Cleveland band that's still around. But the other guys are still the same too. The other 2 guys are still the same. The drummer's still Adam, and then the bass player and the low vocals are Lou. But both of them are on everything, including the demos. So it's only been one member that's been swapped out.
Oh, that's pretty good because usually it's only one person left. And
correct, yeah.
That's cool. I like that band. It was good. I bought that. Of all the Hell's Headbangers releases, I like a lot of shit. Actually, one album that I absolutely love is Dishammer.
Yeah. That was Dopey from Makatazo's side project.
Yeah, drummer. Man, that's a good fucking album, man.
It's funny when that came out too, because that was just their first release. Yeah. I don't know if they did a demo or anything like that before. Maybe they did it. At least I didn't know about it. They just kind of came out new band with their full length, and that it performed very well, sold very well. And that's not normal for a band to come out of nowhere. Hey, just here's my new band without any a few years under their belt doing tours or, spreading the name. It's very unusual for that to happen. Like another band that it happened for that I wasn't big on was Speed Wolf.
Oh yeah. Actually, with Speed Wolf, I've seen them a couple of times live.
Reed's a super cool guy. The main guy, Reed, he's cool. I just thought, I was like, it's just kind of party, like Motorhead worship stuff. I was like, it's cool. I was like, I don't know what all the hype is. But dude, when that came out, it was fucking flies on shit.
Well, the thing about that band, for me, they sound way better live. Because I've seen them live.
So funny you say that, dude. So many people told me that. Even Matt Harvey from Exhumed said that. Oh, dude, I love them live.
Yeah, no, on the recording, it's recorded, it's played well, but it just doesn't have that ferocity of the live show.
But I've only got to see them live once, and it was right when the album just came out. They did that Bark at the Poon demo, and then we did the album. And I think it was with them, and I think they opened up for Nunslaughter, actually. Could be wrong on that, but this is probably about 08, 09, somewhere around there. 010 at the latest. Somewhere in that area is when I saw Speed Wolf. I just saw Speed Wolf once. They played in Cleveland.
And they're not around anymore, right?
No, and I don't know what the whole deal is. I'm sure my brother Chase knows because he was kind of the one who's always talking to him. From what I understand, the little nitpicks I've heard, and granted, I don't get into drama, so I don't really care. I get from what I understand, the guys don't get along. So they broke up, and that's why it doesn't even get repressed. Because we talk about, well, dude, can we please repress the LP and CD? Because there's a ton of demand for it. Yeah. And it's like, well, who's going to get the copies and shit like that? And who's paid? Like, it like Reed's like, yeah, let's do it. But he's like, I can't because so-and-so is going to be. I think that, don't quote me on that. I might be confusing with another band, but I think it's something along those lines. I'm like, oh God, this again. They granted, to their defense, I mean, they're not the only band that would fall in that category. That's why some shit you're like, why isn't this coming out? Or why isn't this going on? A lot of times it's fucking some bickering little girl shit.
Too bad. Well, I have the CD, so I'm good.
Right.
Yeah, good shit. What else? Kind of blew through everything. I know you said you like Misfits and stuff, but you really weren't too much into hardcore and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was something I got into when I started the first punk band I got into, even before any hardcore, was the Misfits, and I was between 20 and 21 years old, so that was late because I was like already into death metal by age 12.
Yeah.
Going to shows at 13. First show I ever went to was Death, so I was already well versed in extreme metal music.
What tour was that?
The crappy album, Two Sounds of Perseverance, but I was 13 years old, so it is what it is. Still cool. Look, I know at the time that was like, oh, that's the fucking gay album, you know what I mean? But looking back at it, you're like, oh shit, I don't know, it's still kind of cool.
It is cool. I the last time I saw Death was really odd. They played with Clutch. It was fucking weird as shit, but it was so. But anyway, I'm sorry, your story.
But so then I heard Misfits, and I really enjoyed it. But as far as hardcore, I always say that my favorite hardcore band would probably be Negative Approach.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I as well, because it's rough and aggressive and
totally aggressive.
Violent sound.
Yeah, like songs like Tied Down, I mean, fucking great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for me, they're the Tied Down mini LP is great, but the 7-inch before that, God damn, that's when you wanted to start fucking smashing people.
Now, you never seen them in the 80s, did you? I know they came back and this stuff because they're already done by what, like 84 or so? They were short-lived.
Yeah, I saw them on their comeback, but it's not, I didn't get, in 83, I was still a young fucker listening to Shout at the Devil. Shit like that back then. But I saw them a couple of times when they got back together. But what's really comical, it almost seems like the singer just doesn't give a fuck, and the vocals almost sound like just, I keep saying anal cunt, like it's like he's not even deciphering, it's just a bunch of screaming, like he didn't even care about trying to enunciate the words.
Well, what is he, 60 years old?
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
So it's probably because he just can't do it. Like, did you see, like, for example, did you see that interview I did with Corpse Grinder?
Yes, I did.
Like that was a question, because that's, I mean, dude, I think a lot of people are taking for granted, and it's like, if you're passionate about this music and the guys that started it, you know, whether it be the Cannibal Corpses, the Morbid Angels, Deicides, Immolations, you really break it down, these guys don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah.
I mean, because even if they live to be 75, 80 years old, they're not going to be able to do that kind of music till that age. So the time for it is like, people take it for granted, like, oh, immolation's coming. Unless you don't like him. If you don't like him, like, cool, then fair game. But if you do, you should probably try to take it for granted because there's not very many years left you're going to get to see them. There's no way they're going to be doing this at 70 years old.
No, they're not going to be like Rolling Stones up there, fucking corpses barely
playing. Well, like I said, because I used like I said, the corpse grinder, I used Lemmy and Ozzy an example. Like Lemmy did it to the day he died, and so did fucking like Ozzy still does a show here. And I was like, but that's not aggressive music. Yeah. Fucking corpse grinder doing windmills on stage and like, you know, guttural type vocals. It's like, that's completely different. So that's an easier thing to do at an older age. So I was like, they're not. I mean, think about it, dude. I'm shocked that Steve Asheen from Deicide can still blast like he does in his 50s.
Yeah. That is pretty impressive.
So it's like, is he going to be able to do that when he's 60? If he can't, what has he got? 5 more years? So I don't think a lot of people are realizing that it's kind of, it almost saddens me to say that because, dude, when we lose the fucking, you know, the Glenn Bentons, the corpse grinders, these legends, I mean, dude, it's going to be a fucking Sanguizio by blood incantation world for sure. That's just the way it's going to be. So us old guys, you real old guys, that's what it's going to be. Those are going to be the leaders because all the old guys, they're going to be gone.
Well, with that being said, a lot of these newer bands, like I also did the interview with Mulder.
Yeah,
like, that band's pretty fucking good. I mean,
I like them quite a bit. It's funny because when I first heard them, I got their album. I'm like, oh, it's good. I like it. But I started even going back to listen to more when I saw them live for the first time. I even told Aaron first time. I was like, oh, dude, the songs are even better live. And then when I went to go back and listen, I'm like, this is. Like I said, I liked them hearing the first record when it came out, but I was like, it's grown on me even more and more. I think and I hope to see a band like that more as a leader of the pack because they're young. They have the sound that it should be for that kind of music, and the guys themselves get it.
Yeah, that's what I noticed in the interview. The guy you interviewed seemed like he was well versed in the classic shit. He wasn't just talking about, you know, newer shit. You know, he's more
picky than I am.
Really?
Yeah,
but he did name off some old school shit. It's not like somebody, I'm into old school stuff. I like Gatekeeping or something like that. Like that's not
like, old. Yeah, I know. That's really. Grant, I never met anyone that said that. I fucking want a bitch slap.
Yeah, no.
Are you fucking kidding me, man?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you know, it's also. I know you've alluded to this before in your videos about wearing shirts. I can think of many times I would be out somewhere wearing a death metal shirt, whatever. And then if I get into a conversation with somebody, it's always some dumb shit
always, dude.
Or if they're into death metal, they're into all that technical bullshit. And
yes. Actually, I can literally say, I think maybe when I'm out of the metal scene, let's just say I'm in the grocery store or whatever, and someone confronted me because of a death metal shirt. One time I was in a coffee shop. And where they actually knew legitimate shit. I think it's only happened 2 times. But other than that, they start naming, either a bunch of deathcore shit or really technical, just later, like death metal came out in the last 2 years that I never heard of. I'm like, I guess it's fine, but at the same time, is it? That type of deal. It's never like, I mean, again, dude, like when I'm talking to somebody, if I'm wearing whatever, like, let's just say it's obituary shirts, I automatically assume like an ever-flowing stream by Dismember.
Yeah,
it's automatically assumed in my mind. And when you're talking to this person, they don't. It just makes my head want to explode.
Yeah.
It just does. I'm like, this is just dumb, dude. Like, why does this need to be explained?
I agree. And that's why it's not even a way. It's not even worth having a conversation.
No, exactly. If you say something like that,
says, "Hey, what kind of find out? I do music. Oh, what kind of music you do? Eh?
Right.
Heavy stuff. That's what kind? What like
Pantera?
Yeah, he'll say shit like that, or it's just one guy named something I can't remember what. I'm like, no, definitely not like that crap.
Right.
Which is funny. I people laugh. I do like Pantera.
No, I don't hate them either. I think I can totally see why people like it. It's just the stem is, again, it was the high school kids coming up for me. And that whole slogan, like on the shirts, what's heavier than Pantera? I don't know if you know, do you know the whole, that wasn't me that said that. Do you know the story behind that?
You said it in one of the videos. Somebody somebody was out somewhere and some guy said that shit.
So it was my brother, Craig.
Yeah.
Who he did, he does band Crucify Mortals.
No, I didn't know that.
He goes by the name Reaper. I used to come on the Hellcast stuff with them and shit like that. When he was a teenager, because he's the only brother that I have that's younger than me. He was working at Denny's. He worked at Denny's for a few years. He was a cook, right? And then he gets off the clock, over his uniform, he put his jacket on. He had a vest and it had, a bunch of patches on it. His back patch was Creator, Pleasure to Kill. And he had patches like Rigor Mortis on there, Hobbs, Angel of Death, shit like that. And there's a guy, I'm sure your Denny's are probably the same where you live. Yeah. Where's the bar?
Yes.
That you can eat food at the bar. There's a guy sitting in the bar, and as Craig's leaving the place, so, oh, hey, dude, you like fucking metal? And Craig's like, yeah, I like metal. He's like, oh yeah, dude, do you like fucking shit like Pantera? And Craig's like, no, I like bands heavier than Pantera. He's like, what's heavier than Pantera? That's where it came from. You're crazy. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, those were his exact words. That's where it came from. And the thing is it's stemmed to me because I wasn't at that conversation, but the kids in high school, they didn't say that exact line, but it was similar shit. Like, dude, oh man, it don't get any heavier than that. Was the talk. I had no problem with people like Pantera. I was like, oh, at least it is a metal band. But I was like, you look like a fucking idiot. I was like, they're not even in the top 1,000 as far as heavy bands. If you're talking all the death metal and you know what I mean, like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's very true. If anybody thinks that that's heavy as fuck, they're a fucking moron. I guess for me,
just like Metallica. I love the early Metallica stuff. Kill 'Em All is great. But if somebody said, dude, the fucking most aggressive thrash, the fastest metal record in existence is Kill 'Em All, and they never even heard Terrorize or World Downfall.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a great metal record, but it's not the fastest and most aggressive record in the world.
Yeah, fucking Kill 'Em All is rock and roll compared to World Downfall.
Exactly. I was like, I consider that, to me at this point, that's like classic rock. It's a classic metal essential. Yes. I was like, but if we're talking like, when you're using terms like it's the most of something, the most extreme, the most fastest, the heaviest, the sickest, it's like, dude, they're a far fucking cry from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me with Pantera, again, there's a lot of guys, death metal guys I know that were even back then, they fuck that bullshit. But when I first got into Pantera, I bought Cowboys from Hell when it first came out. And I remember thinking, I saw it at fucking Walmart and I was like, yeah, that's okay. And I bought it and kind of grew on me. So I liked it from then. But I think if I would have found them later on in life, I probably wouldn't even like them as much. Yeah. Probably. It's just a youth thing, if you will, because I was younger when I first bought that. And
no, 100%. I have stuff like that myself too. The thing is with Pantera, when I heard them, we heard them as a youth. It was either Eric or Chase that bought something by them. And, it was very early on, but it was right around when we first heard Cannibal Corpse, right? For me, and it did for them too, but I don't know if it had as big of an impact. That changed. I'll speak for myself only. I mean, I don't want to put words in their mouths, and I never actually asked them. It changed everything. It was like, this Pantera is fine, but what do I even want to listen to this for? I was like, I got this Cannibal Corpse. Like, I want to hear shit as heavy as this. And that's why then you heard Morbid Angel, Suffocation, Vader, Deicide, it was just, I was like, that was my path. That's why, like I said, dude, like stuff like the Misfits and shit, I didn't go and listen to that until I was like my early 20s, until it's like, all right, I kind of heard all the extreme shit. You're allowed to like other stuff too. I went back to it. Just like, for example, I didn't buy my first Black Sabbath record until I was like 19 years old. I went back to it. Yeah. Because at that young age, I'm like, dude, I don't even fucking care. I don't want to hear it. But Pantera was within a few months of hearing Cannibal. So you kind of heard it was kind of cool. It's like, oh, dude, I don't even give a shit about them. Fuck these guys. Yeah. But if I would have probably heard it 3 years prior, then yeah, it'd probably be a youth thing for me as well. Yeah. Because that totally makes sense. Because if I heard Cannibal Corpse and Pantera at the same time, for the first time, I most definitely would have said, that's fucking crap. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny with Cannibal Corpse for me, when Eaten Back to Life first came out, when I first got into Cannibal Corpse, Eaten Back to Life had been out for a little while when Butchered at Birth was about to come out. But a friend of mine bought Eaten Back to Life, and I saw the cover. At the time, I thought, man, this looks like cheap shit. Now I love the album cover now. Yeah, it's funny because I love that cover. I do now. When I saw it as a kid, I was like, this is great. But I thought it was okay, but then when Butchered at Birth came out, I saw that cover. I was like, all right. Yeah. This is a real shit here. And man, it actually, you know what?
I know every interview you always ask everybody, what's the best death metal album of all time and everything.
Yeah.
Every time you ask somebody that, I think about that myself. And the typical Possessed, Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness. But for me, for my personal, as far as how it affected me, it has to be Cannibal Corpse, Butchered at Birth.
Well, you're the second person to say that. Did you see? Was it Scott? I think it was, or Adam. One of the guys from Cardiac Arrest. That was their answer. I did an interview about both guys. What am I drawing? Adam and fucking drawing the blank of their goddamn. I look like a fucking idiot. But anyways, it was a two. I did an interview with them both in one, and he said, "Cannibal Corpse, Butchered at Birth." I was like, see, that's an answer that makes total sense. So, for example, if somebody said Suffocation, Effigy of the Forgotten too, I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's certain albums I'm like, yeah, those are acceptable answers. But when somebody comes, for example, if somebody comes up and says Gatekeeper or Creeper, or whatever the fuck, I'm like, dude, that is not an acceptable response.
No. I mean, I like the band, but no, that's not classic.
No, exactly.
I literally go back. There's certain albums that when I first heard them, they like really got my attention. And that because when Butchered at Birth came out, I'd already heard, I heard Obituary, Slowly Rot, and I'm getting my dates mixed up. I knew I'd already been listening to death metal. When I heard that and those Chris Barnes vocals, man, this fucking brutal shit, man. And
yeah.
So that's one of my top.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I 100% agree. When people ask me, I always say Tomb of the Mutilated. Because that was my favorite one. I love how Chris's voice sounds, and I love how the drums sound on it. And but when people say, what's my favorite death metal record, the most hit fact, that's the one I say. So I mean, it's very close to like your answer. That's why I said it doesn't have to be, but Possessed, or I mean, the most obvious go-tos are going to be usually Seven Churches, Scream Bloody Gore, or Altars of Madness. I mean, those are the most kind of like obvious because they're really at the forefront, with the genres. And I was like, those are probably some of the definitely the very earliest of early death metal albums. But I was like, that doesn't necessarily mean they're the greatest. But I think those are an acceptable response for calling them the greatest too. And again, if I was 13 years old and I picked up Seven Churches in '85, that very well probably would be my response.
Yeah, it's funny too talking about that because I did prior to Butchered at Birth. I had Altars of Madness and I liked it, but then when I heard Butchered at Birth, the fucking brutal deep vocals to me, that was it. I mean, of course, I go back. I love Altars of Madness, but at the time, I was like, man, I just wanted shit with deep vocals. And then when Broken Hope came out, and Suffocation, that's the shit I would hear. Baphomet, that kind of stuff. I was all into it. And I talk about like certain albums that really caught my attention. That's one of them. And also Burzum, the first Burzum album, that caught my attention. And then when I first heard Bathory, The Return, those three albums were very, like when I heard them, I was like, God damn. I mean, it really.
So Bathory, The Return, being as a black metal album, that came out very early. How old were you when you heard that? Was that much later? Or?
When I heard that, it was probably 89.
Okay, so not too much later.
Yeah, but it wasn't new. And it was funny, when I heard that, there was some fucking guy that had, I think I talked about this in one of the videos, this guy, he had a dubbed cassette of it, and everybody, he'd bring it over and everybody'd play it, and I never even saw what the band looked like back then, so it was very mysterious.
Sure,
I finally saw the album cover, I was like, oh shit, it's cool. So it really created a certain mystique about it.
Well, that's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep the fucking
absolutely.
I mean, honestly, I mean, like, technically speaking, Corathon, like, I know what he looks like, but at the same time, I don't. Like, when he died, before he died, I take the latest image of him. I mean, if he was walking around in Walmart, I wouldn't probably recognize him. I mean, I have an image in my mind of what he looked like, but the same, you know what I mean? It wasn't like he was in videos everywhere and shit like that, as opposed to if fucking Kronos is walking in my grocery store, I'm like, oh shit, fucking Kronos. You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting. They never played live as far as I think early on, a few shows from what I heard.
Did they ever do anything? That's what I heard.
I heard they played a couple early on, but that's just what I've read.
Right, yeah, okay.
When it was before they even did the self-titled album, I think when I'm getting my dates mixed up. I think I heard they played a couple shows early on, but it would have been really cool, but they never played live or a big show, and then you would never hardly see any videos and very few pictures, and you always see the same promo pictures of them all the time, of him with his blowing fire and all that shit.
Yeah, sure. All right, man. Well, you got anything else? Probably just wrap it up here, keep it around an hour, so that way these
absolutely.
fucking short attention span fucking snowflakes don't fucking.
Oh, I know. Somebody's probably crying. They got to go take a piss right now.
Like,
I got one last thing, and then we can get the fuck out of here.
All right.
What bands do you like now that when you first heard them you fucking hated, like metal bands?
Oh shit.
If any.
Well, like bands aren't popping in my head, but I could say this: some of those later deaths are definitely growing on me, like spiritual healing and shit. I definitely didn't like it when I first heard it.
Yeah.
And even like stuff like Symbolic. Going back, I'm like, yeah, it's not scream bloody gore. I was like, it's actually kind of good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a band that maybe I hated going back to. I will say this: when I was in high school, I automatically assumed that I would have hated the Misfits, because when I was in high school and shit, that's when the new album was American Psycho. And a lot of people, which I like that record too, by the way, just for the record. But I didn't even hear it. But I saw all the punks and shit like that, and they kind of spill in the metal scene. I'm like, dude, because I just look at them, I was like, if you like it, I'm not gonna like it, that type of thing. But then when I heard them, I like, it's funny because Misfits is actually like one of my favorite bands ever, counting even metal. So I technically hated them as a teenager, but I didn't actually hear them. So I don't know if that would count or not.
Well, in a way, yeah. I mean, because you just assumed because the fucking idiots that liked it and whatever. But yeah, I like Misfits. And actually, funny, American Psycho, when they first came back with that was like a big fucking deal. And
sure.
When they came, they toured, they played with Napalm Death, Cannibal Corpse, and Anthrax. It was
Napalm Death was on that too? I knew it was Anthrax and Cannibal. I didn't know Napalm was.
Yes. I don't know, maybe it was certain dates, but when I saw them, it was those four. And
so you were there.
Yeah, it was incredible. And Misfits played like all their classics and this all the way through, no breaks.
Now, when they first came out with that tour, how did people respond to Michael Graves? Were people booing, or did they like it?
No, people liked it. I mean, when that album came out at the time, people thought it was good.
No, I knew it was popular because, like I said, I saw the kids in high school, but they were my age. I just didn't know if a lot of the guys your age were like, oh, fuck, no Danzig, no go. Fuck this shit. Who's this new guy?
No, as far as people that were my age, some people were crying about it, but for the most part, everybody thought, this is a good album, a good.
That's when I heard. I'm like, that's even to this day. I'm like, because some people, I remember, like, yeah, the Jim Sadis, Kanye from Nunslaughter, rest in peace. He only liked the Danzig stuff, as opposed to Don. Don actually likes everything, like I do. I was like, dude, I don't even know, like, I don't know, like American Psycho. I was like, Famous Monsters, I think is a good record. Yeah. I was like, I don't, but he, he didn't. All those guys was like, I don't get it. I think it's a good record.
Some purists are like that, but if it sounds good to me, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, that's another one too. I've gone back to. I mean, yeah, if you would have asked me when I was 15 years old, I would have said you can take that Metallica Black album and shove it up your fucking ass.
Well,
but going back and listen, it's a commercial fucking heavy metal rock record, but it's an enjoyable record though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I've learned to love it. When I first bought it, though, I bought it when it came out. I remember being in the car with my dad. We went and bought it, and I put the tape in. He was like, "Hey, this is pretty good." I said, "No, oh man, this is."
Dad's not allowed to like it.
But you know what? My dad was different though, because he's the one that bought "Shout at the Devil" when it first came out.
Oh, okay.
Quiet Riot. So I was exposed to that shit, Black Sabbath, when I was a kid. So he was kind of up. He wasn't into fucking death metal, but he was up in regular heavy rock or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, it's talking about a band that when I first heard, I hated and I absolutely loved. And what I'm about to say is almost like sacrilege. But when I first heard King Diamond, Merciful Fate, I fucking hated that shit.
I remember vocals.
Oh God, I was in high school. People were like, "Oh man, this fucking badass." Like, man, that is fucking trash. But now I love it. But back then I was thinking, "Nah, man, that's not heavy. That's fucking weak as shit."
How old were you when you started liking it? Like, how long did it take?
It was probably 10 years later.
Okay.
Honestly, because even around then, now looking back, this was the first time I heard them was in high school, 89, 90, something like that. But I saw them in 92 and they had like a Merciful Fate reunion. I think it was 92. It was them, Flotsam and Jetsam, and Cathedral. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, but I still wasn't into it. But then over time, I bought a couple records and then I now I don't understand what I didn't like about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's probably I think it's because his voice is so different. It was more than likely that. You're like, what the fuck is probably that.
Now I love it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Merciful Fate. That's why I said, usually when people say top 3 favorite bands, for me, as far as full catalogs, it's generally Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, and Merciful Fate. If somebody asks me favorite bands, those are the 3 that it's probably those.
I can agree with that. All 3 of those bands, I like everything for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, there might be a kind of here and there, but for the most part, I was like, there's not too many of the bands with that big of a catalog. Because I mean, people would say some bands like, oh, what about this band? I was like, they got 3 records, dude. It's like it's a little bit hard not to fuck up when you got only 3 albums.
Sometimes with some bands, that's all they should put out.
Correct, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So a lot of bands that have 10 albums plus. I'm like, vast majority of them, I don't like every record. Yeah. So.
And I know you always talk about Mortician too. I love Mortician. I don't like the drum machine bullshit, but I love the band, and it works. I get past the drum machine, but the vocals, the heaviness, the horror movie samples, the album artwork, it's all a good package that works well.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, even back in the day, they didn't appreciate them for their words. I'm like, but dude, I was like, here's the thing. I was like, they were one of the few very, very brutal death metal bands. They had their own complete identity. Do you remember like in the late 90s, early 2000s? Dude, there was like, even at that point, there was like 50 bands that sounded like Incantation.
Yeah.
I was like, but you could walk into a room and immediately pick out Mortician if you've heard them, whether you like them or not. I was like, there's not too many death metal bands you could say. There's also a shitload of bands that sound like Suffocation, a shitload that sound like Immolation. I was like, show me, and I'm saying this now, and some 15-year-old's going to come in, well, what about Massacred and stuff? Now I was like, they came out last year, bro. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about fucking 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, there was very few death metal bands that you could say had their complete own identity. Like, there's literally nobody that sounds like that.
Yeah, it's for me, when I first heard Mortician, I heard the Mortal Massacre 7-inch. And my first thought was, this is taking what Impetigo was doing, but taking it way heavier. You know, not the sound, but I mean, as far as the horror aesthetic, sound, movie samples and stuff. And then,
but it's so funny you say that, because some of those same clowns, because people pretty much Impetigo gets a pass and everybody loves them, right? Which I love them too. But the thing is that a lot of these clowns, they rip on Mortician for the horror samples. Of like, dude, literally, Will Romer says in an interview, it's like a 20-year-old interview, that where he got that idea was literally Impetigo. It's like they did it. He's like, I love that. He's like, and I love horror movies. That's the reason they did it. They have no problem with having all these long ass Impetigo intros, but Mortician doesn't. They piss and whine.
People like to cry about everything, but yeah, for me, that's part of the aesthetic I like about both those bands, because I enjoy listening to the soundbite and then the music. And I know I think you mentioned this before about somebody having a fucking 2-minute long intro of just bells or something. That gets boring. But with the horror movies clips, that works for me. It's kind
Same
of
here. It's exactly. It's a little worse because there's something going on. It's almost like a theme in a story. If it's just winds or bells, that's I was like, okay, it's the same. It's the same sound.
Right.
So yeah, that's exactly. So, but I know somebody's going to take that out of context. It's like, yeah, but it's not the same fucking thing.
Of course they will. Pussy ass motherfuckers. Well, I know you got some things to do to go execute some people.
Yep.
So, but just hold on for a second. I'll stop this. But hey, appreciate you being on this motherfucking show, and see how it goes. Maybe do it again sometime. And
yeah, absolutely, man.
Other than that, we'll talk to you later.
It was highly requested. So I hope the fucking Devils and the fucking Reds fucking
dig
it.
Actually, motherfuckers are messaging me, hey, are you going to go on his show, or are you going to come on yours? I'm like, yeah, we'll set the shit up.
Yeah, they're asking. So I was like, yeah, I'm up for it. Let's do it. So here you the fuck go. All you guys asking, see?
Absolutely. Abso-motherfucking-lutely.